welcome back to Lessons Learned. I'm Sherry, and this is Finish It Friday, where we see what I finished and what you have finished. And this week I'm making this video a little bit early in the week, so I don't have a ton of sewing done yet this week, but I do have some things to show you. I'm going to put a picture right here of the Red Delicious Apple Wall Quilt. And we had part 1 and part 2 for our Wednesday videos for the last couple of weeks. And so I was able to get that finished up for you, and I hope you had a chance to look at that little series of just 2 episodes and hopefully make one yourself. It was a very fun project, didn't take very long, wasn't very big, but yet very effective design, and I hope I was able to help some of you to be able to see how to maybe pick from your stash and make things come together. So I was able to get that done from the cutting all the way to the binding. So that was a complete finish. And then also I'm keeping up with the Block Wednesday Pat Sloan Sew Along that she's doing out of the Simply Jelly Rolls book by It's So Emma. And if you want to join in on that, there's always time. Just go to ilovetomakequilts.com. That is Pat's website, and you can see how to make these blocks. She has some worksheets there, and then you also need the book. And then these are the ones that we did this week, and it was called the souffle block. So everything is food related on all of these. They're not like a flower block or a 9-patch or a diamond or anything like that. They're all food related. So this was the souffle blocks, and I am using Lady Bird for my jelly roll. I'm using that fabric line for it. And then I think that's all I've gotten into so far, but there's still time in the week, so I will be doing some more sewing, and next week maybe I'll have some more for you to see. We have plenty of submissions this week of quilts that you finished or quilt blocks or whatever, and so I want to go ahead and get right on into those. The first one is from Gail, and she says here, "This is totally out of my wheelhouse when it comes to making quilts. I usually make traditional quilts in more calming colors, but I wanted to try something else by venturing out of my comfort zone. I sure did with this one, and I love it. I did the Quilt As You Go method and used the Creative Grids Crazier 8s templates from Quilt in a Day, along with a Floral Fantasy Batiks Layer Cake collection by Robert Kaufman. And I named my quilt Mardi Gras because of the bright colors. I quilted it myself by Echo Quilting all 240 pieces with matching thread. The backing batik is called Pacific within the same Floral Fantasy collection, and I made an additional block to mount my label on the back. It measures 46 by 61. Fun and very easy." And this is Gail from Florida. Yes, you really did step out of your comfort zone, and we all should do that. Sharpen our skills in some other areas, or maybe look at some different color combinations we hadn't considered before. And I can see why you're very happy with this quilt. I love it. It's beautiful. The blues and the oranges and the greens and yellows, very nice. I love it. And the backing too goes very well. And I see your label on there. Very nice. The next one is from Tamara, and she is from close to my area. She says she made this quilt for her son. He graduated from U of L in 2021. Now U of L has black and red as their colors. I actually started it in 2020 with a goal to finish it in time. I made it as a strip piece, Quilt As You Go, inspired by Angela Huffman's quilt featured on a Fonz and Porter episode. The back was added with a loose meandering design. It measures 55 by 74. I also made some mug rugs with my leftover scraps of fabric. And she says, I highly recommend washing red and black fabrics before piecing with white. So she made a beautiful U of L quilt here in the black, white, and red. And we also see your mug rugs there. And you fussy cut the words. I can read faith, love, and hope out of those. Very good use of your scraps there. And I love how you modeled your quilt there on the chair or on the ladder. Very good. And you see that little yellow triangle there. That's the Louisville Cardinal. I'm assuming that's his beak, so that's perfect. Ingrid says that she has been working through her 30 plus tops that she needs to finish, and she finished her summer sparklers. She says, I didn't see sparklers, I saw summer flowers, grass, and sky. She used 30 reproduction fabrics. The second photo is her summer quilts display on the ladder there. Okay. This is Ingrid from Alabama, I believe. I love your summer sparklers. Very cute. It reminds me of those little pinwheel things you put in the yard, but I love the springy, summery colors that you used. Very nice. And I do not have a quilt ladder, but I've been thinking more and more about maybe finding one or making one somehow. Giselle, she says, I finally finished my first quilt project post-hand surgery. It's a stack and whack 10-inch squares that my friend kindly cut out for me to sew. I used some stash and some new yardage. 54 by 72 with a textured fleece backing and wraparound binding with a serpentine top stitch. It has a blanket feel with straight line quilting, which is what I wanted. It does look very cozy, and a nice pillow to match. I'm glad your hand is healing well so that you're even starting to finish projects. So you're doing quite well. It's quite a haul to recover from a hand surgery and be able to do, although that dexterity has to be sharpened up again. So I can see you picked a project that was a little bit easier on that process, but look how beautiful it turned out. Very cozy. Kathy's from North Carolina. She says, this quilt is a block of the month, 2004 or 2005, from Joanne Fabrics. So this goes back about 20 years, doesn't it? It's called Countryside Cottage, and it finished at 84 by 84. I bought all the blocks, and they were hand sewn by my mom. She took up quilting when she retired from nursing and was taught by her aunt. She was having trouble with the center block because it was applique, and that was not her thing. She had all the sections pieced together and gave them to me to finish once I figured out how to do the center block. Mom passed in 2020, and I retired from nursing in 2023 and decided I was going to finish Mom's unfinished quilts. I completed the construction of the quilt, had a local Longarmer quilt it, and I did the binding. This is my second one of her quilts to finish. Lovely, very nice. It was a collaboration, and how special that is that you're able to finish up her projects that she didn't get to. She says, Mom signed me up for the local 4-H sewing club when I was a little girl, and I loved it, but got away from it once my son got older and my nursing career got busier. This was a true labor of love. As soon as I sewed the last stitch of the binding, I immediately wrapped it around me and thanked Mom for the beautiful quilt. She had made all the grandchildren quilts sewn by hand. Every time I look at the one she made for my son that was completely hand-pieced, I am amazed. Hand-piecing is not my thing, but I love sewing again, and it is so relaxing. There is more to come. Great, Kathy. That's good to hear. And thanks for sharing your history there. It's always interesting and encouraging to others. Kayleen, she says, here are 2 All the Things totes. They're called All the Things totes. She made 2 of them. She made these a few weeks back. The pattern is by Knot and Thread. It was not a difficult pattern, but I made quite a few mistakes that caused me a good bit of frustration. The mistake that I can't quite get over is I cut my fabric out wrong on the sewing machine bag, so my sewing machines are sideways. I managed to get this part correct on the second one I made with the chickens, which was a gift for a friend, so thank goodness for that. I think I've actually done that before. I cut the fabric out in such a way, and the fabric was directional, and then when I put the thing together, it was the wrong way. I see what you're talking about. Now, I don't think it really takes away from it myself, because those sewing machines, they have them turn like this and like this, so they are a little bit in a tossed arrangement as it is. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think it looks great. And then the one with the chickens, yes, I don't think you could have had the chickens the wrong way. So good job on that. A lesson learned, wasn't it? Watch your directional fabric. Great job. These are great looking bags. And that was All the Things Totes. The pattern is by Knot and Thread, if anyone is looking for that. Dolores had a couple to send to us here. This rag quilt has peach on the back. It's 2 cotton layers. A nice summer quilt, so there's no batting. And this is Heather Briggs's first fabric collection, Flower Girl. Very pretty. I love the peaches and yellows and the greens, all soft and springy. Love that. Now this one that Dolores sent, she said she finally got this one put together. She had the blocks done with a lot of help from a dear friend. This is Sherry's Sew Along Vintage Mystery. So I actually got the privilege of helping Dolores put her blocks in an order that she liked, and it turned out great. So she has the top finished there, and if you don't remember my vintage, let's see, what did I call it? Vintage Mystery Sew Along of a couple of years ago. Go back and try to find that, and that's a whole series that we did. And then she's also got, she says, I call these furniture or table protectors made from scraps. So I actually saw Dolores's table pads here on her double-decker table that she has sitting by a chair, and what she does is she measures the area that she wants to cover and makes them that size out of her scraps. So don't forget your scraps for little easy projects like that. So one was just, you know, bars set in 2 different directions, and the other one was like a little square surrounded by a background fabric. So very good, very good. And she used leftover, I believe she used leftover binding too. I could be wrong about that, but she makes these all the time, and she just uses her scraps and then, you know, throws them in the washer, gets another set out. When those are ready to be washed, she's got another one waiting. So I'm thinking about doing that for No Buy July. Alright, that is what we have for this week. That was a nice little haul of finishes and very pretty stuff, and just warms our heart really to see all the different projects that we all have been making, either over years or decades or even just the last little bit. Everything counts, and it's all wonderful. So keep sewing. As I always say, sew a little bit every day if you can, and before long you'll have your UFOs done and ready to make new projects. So we're going to keep that cycle going, and be back here on Finish It Friday for next week for a whole new bunch of finishes. So this week is coming up pretty quick, so make sure you get something out to sew. Sew every day if you can, and before long you'll have some new projects to start on or finish up some that have been sitting. So that's what I wish for you. A great weekend of sewing, and we'll be back here to chat on Monday Quilt Chat. Everything quilty in my world and in the quilting world in general. And then back around for a Wednesday video. So I don't have something concretely planned for Wednesday of next week, but we're going into No Buy July. So all of you who are participating in that with me, come along. We're going to keep our money in our pockets for July, at least for fabric. If you need some supplies to keep going on a project or to finish a project, be my guest. Go buy it. Get it done. But fabric in general, just for our stashes, no. And we will be having Stash Buster videos in July. Alright, have a great weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye.